Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Jets, and I'm here to talk about Week 17. The Jets lose by this score. Game is still going on. The game is still going on. I can't explain to you why, and I might never know in my heart why. But tonight was the night where I finally got there. Where the tension just finally boiled over for me. And that might be ridiculous, and you might tell me that that is stupid, that my anger finally reached its boiling point in Week 17 for a team that has already been eliminated from the playoffs for a couple of weeks now, against a team with a lot to play for, while the Jets have nothing to play for. And that's where the whole thing stems from for me. That's where it all starts. The Jets have nothing to play for. Again. And it's not just playoff implications. The coaching staff has nothing to play for. All of their jobs are safe. Complacency from an organization who... It's been 13 years since a playoff berth. It's been 8 years since you were 500. 8 years since you had a winning record. 8. It has been 10 years since you've had a quarterback start and finish all 16 games. You have been awful for a very, very long time. And that is where it really boils to me. This is the fourth or fifth, depending on how you want to view it, year of Joe Douglas, and it is the third year of Robert Saleh. And in those seasons where Saleh has been the coach, they have been bad in all of them. And it has varied from comically bad to then an awful 7-game losing streak to finish off the year to this season where they're going to finish roughly with like 6 to 7 wins. Again, another 10-loss season. Third straight double-digit loss season for Robert Saleh and the Jets. And Joe Douglas, who since having a full season to be the GM, so starting in 2020, went 2-14, I want to say 4-13 or 5-12, 7-10, and whatever the hell they finished this year. And they get to not have to play down the stretch for their lives. I understand that you're out of the playoffs, and that winning or losing by that definition is meaningless. The fact that this organization is just so fine with giving people pats on the back and passing it off to next year and being complacent and just fine, content with being awful is a joke, and it is a spit in the face to fans of this team. I understand and I have compassion for the fact that Aaron Rodgers got injured on the first drive. I get that. If you go to a restaurant and they are incredibly short-staffed, and it takes you 3 hours to get your meal, and by the time it comes out, it's still frozen in the center and there are hairs on it, you can have compassion for why that happened. You can reasonably see how that occurred. Does not change the fact of what you were presented. I get that you lost your quarterback on the first drive, and that sucks. We're playing the Cleveland Browns! They are not on their second stringer. They're not on their third stringer. They are on their fourth string quarterback that they found off the couch. He was playing catch with his brother to stay in shape. 2 months ago, he was sitting on the couch like you and I. And they gave him a rang, and he showed up, and he torched the Jets. They're on their fourth guy. Because they, say what you will about the Browns, I have a lot of problems with their organization, especially with the whole Deshaun Watson thing. They aren't complacent. I don't like the way they handled the Baker Mayfield thing, because I thought Baker Mayfield was fine. I thought he was above average. He's having a nice year back in down in Tampa. They weren't complacent. They thought they could do better, and they did. Theoretically, they did. The fact that this team is just fine with it. They're fine with it. The Colts are every team. Everyone's heard the talk of, oh, it's the year of the backup quarterback. And I know that statement is talked to death, but it's true. Bengals, very, very, very might well be in the playoffs. Backup quarterback. The fact that this team is more than willing to, again, have something go awry and just write the season off and say, well, what are you going to do? Is it pathetic. Like, look at the San Francisco 49ers. They drafted a young quarterback the same year that the Jets did, with 1 pick difference than the Jets. The 49ers gave him some games. He wasn't very good in them, and then he got injured, and then they went to Garoppolo, and then he got injured. They went to their third-string guy, who was a little fella named Brock Purdy, who, earlier that year, during his proudest moment as an athlete, maybe as a person, I don't know him personally, but it's a pretty big moment, when he was drafted into the NFL, was handed a shirt that said Mr. Irrelevant on it, then went on to win 13 in a row to start his career and take his team all the way to the NFC Championship game, where they only lost because they were down him, and they had to go to, their 5th-string option. But they still got to the NFC Championship game. And now this year, they're rolling with them. They traded that 2nd or 3rd overall pick in Trey Lance. They moved on. And they handed the reins to this kid that they found on the side of the street. And they are one of the best teams in the NFL, who are very likely going to make another deep playoff run. And you can say, well, Weston, Brock Purdy isn't that good. If anything, that makes it worse for the Jets. Because a lot of same situation there. So many similarities. Defense-heavy team with some really good offensive weapons. I'm not going to tell you that Breece Hall is Christian McCaffrey, and I'm not going to tell you that Garrett Wilson is Deebo Samuel. But elite defense, one of the top defenses in the entire sport, and an offense with some really good pieces around, they've put it together with their 3rd option from 2 years ago. They're going to make a deep playoff run this year. The Jets aren't. They're going to finish probably with double-digit losses again, unless something miraculous happens in the back part of this game. Another season of double-digit losses for a team that is just stacking them as if it's in style. And the players quit because the coaches quit because the coaches were allowed to quit. Rex Ryan was coaching his ass off down the backstretch of a couple of seasons because he was trying to keep his job. Rex Ryan had 4 playoff wins in 2 years with this team. The first 2 years he was here, he had 2 playoff wins each season. He had, I want to say, 11 wins in one season and either 9 or 10 in the other. Which, if you're looking back, the first 2 years of Rex Ryan have more wins than the first 4 years of Joe Douglas. Tasty, delicious, because it's been years. It's been years upon years upon years upon years upon years, over a decade of, oh, well, they lost Aaron Rodgers. How can you be critical? Oh, well, Zach Wilson sucks. How can you be critical? They lost Elijah Vera Tucker. How can you be critical? Oh, well, they're trying to tank for a really good draft pick, so, who cares about that? Oh, well, they finished 6-2 down the stretch, so that makes everything okay. They get to be complacent. Oh, well, they were 10-6. That would make you the playoffs almost every other year. Here's the thing. I will acknowledge there has been some bad luck in the history of the Jets franchise. Clearly, there's been some bad luck in the history of this franchise. That is so apparent that there's been bad luck and bad juju around this team. And that is a reason why you'd get the benefit of the doubt 1 year. If the Jets over the past 6 years or so would have been, a normal team, above 500 a couple times, 1 or 2 wild card appearances, a normal team, something in line with the Jags. Go back to the Saxonville days. Something in line with them, or something in line with the Dolphins. Not world beaters, but, they're starting to come out of their shell. They've made some playoff appearances, something along those lines. You know, something like even the Cardinals. That's how low we've gotten here, guys. I'm saying, God, imagine being the Cardinals! If you, like, just occasionally would have lucked into some good seasons, or just even mediocre, slightly above average, a playoff game where you got killed. I would have loved that. Then maybe you would have earned the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you would earn being complacent and just saying, well, sometimes stuff happens. But in the past 13 years, every team has taken those bad circumstances and gotten around it. They have figured something out. In the past 13 years, across all 31 other NFL teams, across the NBA, the NHL, the MLB, all of the major North American sports, the only common denominator about not being able to figure out how to deal with the fact that injuries happen is you! That felt good. That felt like that had been building for a long time. That needed to get out. So, obviously, since this was a Thursday game, they get a little extra time off. They'll play Week 18, final regular season game, final game of the season for the Jets, obviously. In Foxborough at 1 o'clock against the New England Patriots. You know, they've lost 15 consecutive games to the New England Patriots? I'll be here afterwards to talk about it. But until then, that's all I have to say. So if you somehow enjoyed this, please, from the bottom of my heart, consider to like and subscribe. Thank you all so very much for watching. Hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and as always, go Jets.